So, I am here today to create a video tutorial about how to create a flowchart. But before that, we would tackle first, we should have a brief discussion about algorithm and pseudocode. Algorithm specifies a series of steps that perform a particular computation or task. Algorithms resembles recipes. In recipes, in baking a cake, there are steps. First, preheat the oven. Next is mix flour, sugar, and eggs thoroughly. Pour into a baking pan, and so forth. However, algorithm is a technical term with a more specific meaning. In short, algorithm understood in just one way process. Example, in recipe, bake until done. It doesn't explain what done means. But in algorithm, bake until the cheese begins to bubble. Now, it is better to be understood. Pseudocode, simple way of writing programming code in English. Pseudocode is not actual programming language. It uses short phrases to write code for programs before you actually create it in a specific language. Now, let us proceed to flow charting. But wait, what is flow charting? Flowchart is used to map out programs before writing one line of code in a language. And also, flowchart is a diagram representing the process flow of computer programs using shapes and arrows. These shapes and arrows are what we call flowchart symbols. But the question is, what is flowchart symbols? Flowchart symbols are specific shapes used to create a visual representation of a program. These flowchart symbols are what we use in creating a flowchart. There are a lot of flowchart symbols, but I choose the basic. The first one is process. It is a rectangle shape and it represents a steps in your process, or it shows how the program functions. Next is a decision-making symbol. This is a diamond shape, and this shape indicates a point where the outcome of a decision dictates the next step. There can be multiple outcomes, but often there are just two, yes and no. The third one is input and output. This symbol is used to enter data. Okay, next is connector. This is a circle shape. Okay, for instance, you may get to the bottom of a column and need to go back to the top of the page to continue with a new column. You can add a connector symbol. Next is terminal or start and end. This is an oblong shape. This shape is for the first and last step of your process, or it presents beginning or an ending. Next is the flow lines or the arrow. It indicates the sequence of steps. So we need those flowchart symbols in order to create a flowchart. And now that you have learned those basic flowchart symbols, we can now proceed on creating a flowchart. I have here two examples providing pseudocode. is the two problems providing the pseudocode and the flowcharting. Create a program to add two numbers together and then display the result. Okay, so first I draw the start. So every program should have a beginning. So we draw the terminal, which represents start and end. It is an oblong. Next is the flow lines or an arrow. It indicates the sequence of our program. Next is the input, where we enter the data. So for example, enter number, this letter A here represent first number. So we enter the first number. Next is another flow lines. And then another input or output symbols. This is an input symbols. We enter number 2. So this letter B represent second number. So we enter the second number. Next is another flow lines to recognize the sequence of the program. Now this is the process with a rectangle shape. So in process, the first number and the second number is added, and the sum of these two numbers is equal to C. So C, this letter C represent the sum of the two numbers. Now another flow lines, and then the input and output symbol. We enter the sum of the two numbers, and then that's it. We draw another flow lines to stop the program. Number 2, calculate the amount pay of a worker and then print pay. So now let us begin the program by creating the terminal, because it indicates the start and end, and the flow lines to recognize the flow of our problem for now. And then second, we input the number of hours, and then we input the hourly rate of pay, and then we calculated the pay. So this is the process of the program. After that, after calculating the pay, now we this is another input or output symbols, wherein we print the pay, and then we drew the flow lines to stop the program. So that is the end of this video tutorial. Hope that you have learned something. I need a little